Alrighty, this will be the second entry here for our Banner News podcast, and I'm here with Sten Joddi, a man of family, love, lifestyle, health, and artistry. Thank you for joining us here at Banner News.
Yo, Sten Joddi, Sten Joddi. Thank you, man. Honor. What's up, man?
So, again, this will just be kind of a couple questions, a lot about your life. We've heard a lot about you already. As I mentioned before, you're a man of family, love, lifestyle, health, artistry, artistry in a lot of different ways. One of the first questions that I kind of have about that is, as far as the hip-hop career goes, how did that all kind of start out for you?
Oh, man, I started rapping back when I was about 13 or 14. I'm now 38. I'll be 39 here in a couple of weeks, here in December. And, I've been an aspiring rapper for a very, very long time. I've embraced hip-hop a long time ago. I embraced it not just because of the dope music that I love so much, but because of the actual stories in hip-hop. They kind of reflected the life that I lived, the life I was growing up around. All the struggling and all the situations where Pops was drinking, alcoholic, domestic violence, then he leaves the crib and it's like, I found the love in the streets and my friends and homies, and it was like, they showed me that love that I didn't really have at home, and I had to kind of learn to be a man on the street, getting advice from other kids my own age and not having that adult there to let you know what's good. And so hip hop really mirrored that for me for a lot of the stories that some of those rappers were talking about. Not only hip hop, but in movies, I gravitated toward, the black culture because of not really having a lot of Native representation back then, right? So there wasn't any Native rappers out there. There were, shout out to Lightfoot and all that, but mainstream, turn on your TV and you see some natives doing native shit, you know what I mean? So it's that wasn't there, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so gravitating towards all that, the culture and, being raised around black people, Native people, Mexicans, white boys, we all was there, you know what I'm saying? And that was just the way we lived, you feel me? So it wasn't any type of way where, I picked this up later in life where I was like, oh,
right.
I think I'll be try this rap stuff at 23, right? I've been living this culture my whole life. I've been living this life my whole entire life. So it's that's just why I went that way. You know what I'm saying, with rap.
So for you, it's not even much of a career. It's more of a lifestyle than anything. It's actually, like you said, it's what you've been living. It's not something that you just kind of picked up.
Right. And that's the thing. It's I was a part of that community, where, rap was definitely apparent in our lives. Hip hop, the fashion, all those things definitely influenced me on why I like certain things in my life. At first it was about that money and things because I come from a low income family.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so seeing those people with tennis shoes and cars and money and of course that's something a 12 or 13, 14-year-old kid with nothing wants, for
Absolutely.
Sure. Even if it's just to say, here, mom, pay the bills,
right?
Or buy a house or something. I wanted to do that for mine. You know what I mean? And so that is what I grew up, influenced by.
Yeah.
And rappers like Biggie and Tupac and Master P, Slick Rick and all of those guys, man. It's just they influenced me to love jewelry.
Right.
When Master P came out, he had the grill and stuff. And ever since I was about 13, man, I always wanted a grill. You know what I mean? So when I got old enough and I was making enough money, and this was before any of this show or some of the music has been coming out, I've been rocking grills for a very long time, and like that was just something that I loved. Even my wife's like, "Why do you do that?" And it's like, I don't know, like I come from nothing,
Right.
So like to be able to get that for myself, once a dream as a child, you know what I mean, and to now being able to do that and show my family that I can give them the things that I never had.
Right.
My daughters, I give them everything, probably too much, spoil the shit out of them, but it's just in me because, it's like I know how bad it was for my mom to be in, a place where there's toys or there's things that maybe her son wants and she can't afford it.
Right.
But she wants to give it to me. But, you just can't afford that. Like, we can't get that. You know what I mean?
And that's one of those things that, like you said, you grow up without so many of those things, and you'll remember that for the rest of your life. You'll remember your situation growing up, and that's one of those things that'll never get old, is that stuff that you fell in love with as a kid, and that stuff that you continue to give your kids now. It's just like, that's something you'll do forever.
Yeah,
that's
man.
not something that you'll really get away from.
Yeah, and I want people to understand that, they're capable of doing the same things.
Right.
And that if you just, don't give up, right? Like, that's the main thing.
Yeah.
Is like not giving up no matter how many times you fall or whatever, situations, setbacks, you know what I mean? You just keep on digging, and like, you're going to get what you want out of life as long as you push yourself, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. So I noticed that you mentioned kind of a lot about drug and alcohol abuse in your life, as far as whether it was you or your family or stuff like that. We did a little bit of research on your tattoomusic.com, which is super cool stuff, by the way. I loved reading through that.
I appreciate it.
So how long have you yourself been sober?
I am going on 2.5 years now.
Wow.
So, I mean, at one time it was really bad, and I put my wife and my kids through a lot of different shit, and it's like that was the more important thing, is to get messed up and always have a beer in my hand, or whatever. And then even before I met my wife, I went through a lot of growing up, man. Hard, different things, a lot of trials and tribulations with drugs and street life. And it's like, I spent time in jail in Tennessee, just going through all of those things, and now looking back, like, I'm so glad that shit is over with, right? Like, I'm past those things where when I walked through the store, it was really hard at one time to not want to grab the beer, you know what I mean? Or be at a bar or at a social event and not want and be able to be like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
And at first, I know a lot of people fight with that, right? Like, but you have to stand your ground, and after about maybe the first or second time, man, like, the first one is going to be the hardest way, right? When you're saying no the first time, and you're like, nah, man, I'm good. I'm not trying to drink, and I'm not trying to do that or this or that, whatever the drug of choice or whatever your addictions are, right? Like, no, I'm good. I don't want to do that right now. And they'll give you a lot of shit right then. Like, come on, man, whatever,
Quit being a pussy.
Right,
stuff like
all
that
shit, man. Like, it's just like, you're going to get it, right? So, but the second time might be a little bit more, and then the third time, after a while, bro, they'll just stop offering it to you.
And then that makes it a lot easier.
Because then it's just like, oh, no, man, he's cool, and it's like nobody will even worry about it. You go get you a Coca-Cola or a bottle of water or something, like, nobody even comes over and offers me to drink a beer. But I've also realized, like, those friends that no longer show up because of that too, and that's the thing too. You got to be ready to shed those people that aren't trying to help you be the best you. And if they're trying to, bring you down, then, it's time to get rid of that situation. Right. Like, and better. in our own conscious. There's that little voice in there going, man, you need to quit. Get your life together, right? Mm-hmm. And that was around the same time I started becoming healthy, man.
Yeah.
And eating right and exercising daily and, just getting back to that good way. Not only did I start doing good in my tattoos and my career and being able to do things better as a person in society, like, but now it's time to like get my mental health, my spiritual health, and my physical health under control and like get in the right space now that, I can be a good dad and I can be a good husband and, and do those things right. And that's the most important.
Absolutely.
Know what I mean?
And that's, and that's a thing that it seems to be so much more prevalent now is mental health awareness and stuff like that, because a lot of people who haven't been through it themselves or like experience it firsthand don't realize the severity.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's the thing. We have, especially my generation and into the 2000s, like Native people didn't have that, representation, man. So like you couldn't see yourself becoming something. Right? Like you couldn't turn the TV on. You couldn't turn on a sports game and know that running back was Native American and he did it or that, we're always the token Indians in movies and we always have to have a, riding horseback somewhere and against a cowboy of some sort, right? Like, and so you didn't really have anything,
right?
And so like that is definitely an issue with your identity on who you are, especially within your own community, because you're told to be one way, and yet you're supposed to be in this other world being successful and making money and doing these things. But then they want you to do this, be more traditional, know your ceremonies, know your language. And if you don't have that part and you're not connected to that part, it's hard for you to even get there.
Right.
And then you're looked down upon on either side of the fence then. And so you're kind of struggling that fence line your whole life. I was, and for people that might relate to that, not every Native experiences that. But, for me, that's what I went through. So it was like mental health and knowing who I am. A lot of us, Native teen suicide is the highest rate in America, and it's like ages between like 15 and 21, and like, they're out here because there's no hope, what I mean? There's no representation up until this year and last year where we're getting things to where it's on a mainstream level and people are seeing us for human beings and not just the guy riding horseback in a cowboy movie, and we're finally getting that representation where, we might not all look Native, right? We might not be that passing Native. You may be blue-eyed, brown hair, fair skin, and you're Native, right? Like, or you could be black with curly hair, dark skin, dark eyes, and they question you if you're Native enough as well. And it's like those things my daughters will have to deal with, other people's children are going to have to deal with, because we're all becoming this understanding that we're all mixed in there somewhere. And that judging somebody on if they're Indian enough for you, and that's where it's like that's the mental problem we're having in our youth, where they're losing the hope on who they are, and there's a lot of other reasons within those family situations and rural situations. You may be on the res, you may be in the city. Either way, you may feel alone in your struggles, right? Like, that's what they need to understand, that they're not alone. There's a lot of us that feel the same exact way, and that, you have to just hold on and continue to push through that situational thing that you're going through at the moment, because it's only momentarily, you feel me? And tomorrow will come, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. What was it that really like influenced you to be like, okay, this is cool, I want to do this, I want to be a part of this?
So it was kind of two things. So one was my dad. When he was around, I couldn't help but notice the tattoos on his arm. He He had his initials, and I think maybe Indian, the letters NDN on his arm somewhere, I believe. And I always was fascinated with that. Always like, man, that's cool. And then later on a little bit, I became a Tupac fan. Mm-hmm. And Tupac, you know, tattoos all over his body. He was like the first one, like the first rapper I ever seen with tattoos all over his body. And I just thought that was dope as shit. And so those two things correlating into me liking tattoos, liking rap music, you know, it was all one thing, kind of like embodied into itself.
Right.
So, and again, that's why I have my hat on. It's TMG. That's my brand, I guess, if you want to call it. Tattoo Music Group. It kind of speaks for itself. You know, me speaking about things in my career, tattoos, music. It's all under one business, one brand, one label, whatever you want to call it. And that's just kind of what I represent. And you don't have to be indigenous to love tattoo music, right? Like, tattoo music is just what music you would be playing while you're getting tattooed.
Right.
You know? So whatever makes you calm or vibe out, like, that's tattoo music to me. So, like, it doesn't necessarily have to be hip-hop. Mm-hmm. It doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, what you think tattoo music would be. But, you know, that's the kind of the brand that I wanted to push out there. And tattoos just kind of took over my body, man.
Yeah. Because we were kind of talking about it, kind of like in between sessions here. You were mentioning about how, like, back, you know, when you were younger, tattoos were looked down upon. You know, they were looked at like you were looked at as, you know, you were a bad person or you were doing bad things. And it's like, now you see, like you said, you see teachers with, you know, full body tattoos, full sleeves, full stuff like that. And it's kind of like people are seeing tattoos more. And that'll actually lead me into my next question, is more like meaningful, you know, because sure, there are tattoos that look cool. You know, I'm sure you might have a couple tattoos that you got just because they look cool.
Yeah.
But
so for me, it's like all my tattoos are kind of rough and rugged. You know, it all tells my story in a way, right? So, like, they might not be the coolest pieces that I have or anything, but I remember where I was at, what I was doing, who I was with during that tattoo, what was going on in my life or what I was going through. So all those things kind of correlate into that. And then, like, you know, music and all those tell that story, you know? So it all comes that way. So, yeah. What else did you ask on that other end?
Just as far as like which, like, do you have any particular tattoos as far as like meaningfulness that stand out to you?
You know, and that's the thing, like, that's what it was. So that's the thing, like, mine are more about what I was doing, where I was at, because again, they're not the greatest done, because I was learning. Back then, like you said, it was looked down upon. You were either a thug or a gangbanger, or you got out of prison, or you're a biker, or, you know, all these stigmas that tattoos bring. And that's what I had to navigate through that situation. And now it's such a mainstream accepted thing.
Right.
You have, you know, Ink Master on TV. You have, what's that one? LA Ink and Miami Ink and all these things that are creating a social acceptable thing for people to understand. Like you said, that now these people are going in and getting meaningful tattoos, whether they be, you know, memorials or something to do with maybe, you know, service or marriage or family, religious, I mean, you know, cultural. Now these things are it's just in all different ways, you know, that you can tell your story on your skin now. And the art is just insane. Like, the art skills of tattoo artists over the last maybe 20 years are crazy. Like, they're insane, man. And the details and the realism and you know, I'm nowhere near that level, I feel. Like, that is very, you know, intimidating, knowing that there's artists out there just killing the game that. Like, oh, my God. Like, don't come into my shop and ask me for, like, the Terminator's colorful face. Like, don't do it, please. I don't want to, like, challenge myself today like that. Like, you know, I mean, I can do a dope, like, angel, and, you know, I can do all kinds of stuff. Don't get me wrong. But, you know, don't come in with grandma's photo.
Right.
And, like, you know, I don't want to mess up an eyelash, and then it's like Aunt Louise or something.
Expect
it's
a
not
portrait.
grandma anymore, you know? It's like, who's that random lady on your arm? You know? Yeah, you don't want, like, yeah, it's mom. No, it's not.
No,
that's not mom at all, dude.
Not anymore, it isn't. No.
So, yeah.
Oh. All right, we're going to kind of transition here into something maybe a little bit more, you know, harder subject to talk about. So, you know, being, you know, famous, like, you know, the more that celebrity that you get, there's going to be controversy.
Of course.
You know,
of course.
There's going to be adversity. There's going to be controversy. There's going to be, you know, there's going to be stuff that you got to deal with. There's going to be backlash about things. You know,
right, of course.
Things that you did 10, 15 years ago, especially in today's society. So we did a little bit of research. You've been recently facing some backlash about some previous tweets from maybe, I think it was 8 years ago, 10 years ago, something like that. And again, that's just kind of part of the whole cancel culture epidemic that is going on right now. So I just kind of wanted to get just an idea on your thoughts and how you deal with the backlash.
You know, at the end of the day, a lot of those people don't know me.
Right.
And they don't know my story because I'm such a new face in this celebrity situation that I didn't do my I don't know what you call it, where you're standing in audition lines for years and trying to get a commercial, and then you finally get a part in a movie, and then you finally get a part on this. You know, I went from 0 to 100 because the director is a dope ass person.
Yeah.
So, you know, the casting company was dope. Mid Thunder Casting, Sterling Harjo. Those were my champions in that casting situation. So, you know, again, when you're pushed out there that quickly, nobody has a chance to know me.
Right.
I have like 6 studio albums, all the way back to, you know, and even mixtapes before that.
Right.
And even other albums before that. And again, I've been rapping this. I've been doing this hip-hop shit since I was 13. I just lived that life. Like, it's not something I picked up because of the show asked me to act. I'm not some actor from Juilliard, or I didn't go to school for this. I was just simply asked to do it. You know, I didn't seek out to do it neither. And the reason being they wanted me to do it because I am this authentic person. Right. And them old tweets, old things like that, you got to understand that I come from that situation. So that street vernacular, using the N-word, was something that, you know, was accepted by all of my peers in the situations where I came up. My black friends, my native friends, my Mexican friends, my white boy friends, all those, they're all, you know, we all kind of use that same street vernacular, man, our whole life. And later in my life, I still used it, and this was around the time where I started to become more aware of how those derogatory names are detrimental to my community, when I started to really understand what Redskins and using the word Indians for their sports teams and, like, you know, all those things. So when I started to come into those realizations, it slowly and surely just kind of stopped being in my vocabulary. Because I started to think in a way where if I'm asking my black peers, my homeboys, my friends, my just whoever, and if I'm asking them to relearn the understanding of wearing that Redskin jersey they're wearing, and to stop using that language, then I need to do the same thing in respects to those people, right? So it's like, that's where I started to rise above that.
Right.
Were the tweets still there? Yeah, I mean, they were, and I can't do nothing about it. You know, again, it was just something that was in my everyday vocabulary. And then when I started to advocate for the Redskins and the name changes, this was before the names changed. This was years before anybody even cared that they were, on both sides of the situation, not only from white Redskins fans, but from black Redskins fans, I would get the same justification why it was okay to wear the Redskins jersey. And this is just me individually. I can't speak for every other person that was advocating for the name change or what they went through or how they, navigated their situation.
Right.
But for me, I was getting that animosity from both sides, telling me that, oh, it's a tradition. My grandpa, we always, every Sunday, it's just our team, bro. And it's like, yeah, but that ain't cool.
Right.
And so then, I made some tweets where I was, now these are reshared from 2014,
right.
but they were tweeted out in 17. So I was like, I just reshared them. And in hindsight, I shouldn't have spelled out the things that I spelled out. But at the end of the day, and I'm not making excuses, right? Like, I'm just here to own up for the accountability of what I did. But it was for the shock value. It was to bother you at the time,
right.
because I thought I was doing something that was going to catch your attention, to understand that these names are exactly the same.
Right.
And then even in the tweet, it doesn't finish the tweet.
Yeah.
Right, where all these derogatory names, and then at the end it says, change the name Redskins. This one's okay, right? Like, it doesn't explain that part. The pictures that were with the tweets didn't go with them either.
Right.
And so then people just continue to speculate, assume, and then attack, and then there's no way to explain
Right.
through a text or a tweet what I went through as a kid or who I am as a human today.
And especially like that, like there's only so much you can do behind a phone, behind a keyboard,
man.
People like just sitting here talking to you, I've learned so much more about Native American communities and Native American people than I ever thought I would know.
Right.
And that's because I'm sitting here face to face talking to you. Like, I can say so many things behind a keyboard that are going to get misconstrued, and you can say so many things and use so many words, so many different phrases.
Yeah, it could be a whole feed
like
of you going back and forth because you don't understand the tone of the text.
And people are going to have no idea.
Right. And so trying to explain that, when it happened and how it all was unfolding right then, I'm not going to lie, FX hit me up and they told me, just don't even talk about it. Like, just, and I'm like, I don't want to do that in my own mind, right? Like, I don't want to do that.
Right.
I just want to address this shit. And I want motherfuckers to know.
Get it over
where
with.
the fuck I'm at, or
right.
who I am, and, what I was doing and why. I was in a comparison situation. I was trying to compare the Indians with the Nword. I was trying to compare the Redskins with every other derogatory word you could think of. And I was trying to make them understand before the name changed. Now, in 2021, almost 2022, we realize that name is just as derogatory as any other name, and it has been changed. And things are starting to more change. And so, when I was advocating for that, I felt alone, man. I felt alone, and I praise the Black Lives Matter movement to hop on the name change. The black community fully hopped on that in the last couple of years, and that is why we got so much awareness out there, and that's why it got changed. And I'm thankful for that. Like, that's a super duper win.
Right.
And that's, and in hindsight, I might have came at it the wrong angle. I definitely did. But that was my ultimate that's what I was trying to get across in my own way, which is, you know, it could be a misconstrued, and I apologize for anybody that felt hurt by that, because I do know those words hurt, and that's why I was such an advocate for the words that were so derogatory to indigenous people, and that's why I wanted people to see that, and the only way to see it is to get people mad at you sometimes, man, and you know, again, it is what it is. Can't take it back. Just got to keep moving and tell my story so the actual story gets told. Right. And people know who I am. This isn't like some wig with braids under my hair. I grow my hair. You know, like I said, jewelry and shiny shit has just always been something I was in love with. Yeah. And the hip hop stories that were told that I you know, gravitated to. They told my story, you know what I mean? And so that's what I was related to, and that's what I relate to, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's just what I can do. I have to just keep moving forward and be a better person each day, learn from my black community, my black indigenous community, and I have a lot of homeboys and a lot of people, you know, helping me do that right now. I got a lot of educational and learning things going on, you know, with some of my black indigenous peers, and I'm relearning each and every day, you know what I mean? And rising above that circumstance where, you know, it turns into an excuse to do and say what you want just because, you know what I'm saying? And that's not who I am anymore. And again, this was years ago. I've already rose above that way of thinking. It's just been brought back to the table, and I have to re-explain myself, which is okay, because that conversation really needs to happen, because indigenous people need to understand that, you know, we are so similar to that. The black community needs to understand that we are so similar in our struggles, and that we appreciate all the help and the identity situations where we aren't accepted in some of our own communities, and that, you know, that's why I'm saying we grew up in that. So it's like, that's just all you can be. You can't really change who you were raised around. You can just elevate your mentality. Right. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I'm at, man. That's where I'm at.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and end this off on a positive note. So a lot of your focus is helping out communities, basically that you grew up in. You know, youth communities, especially. You know, helping the youth natives, just youth in general. How important is your focus on not only Native American communities but just youth?
You know, huge. I think, I know it's cliche as hell, but like, the youth is the future, right? Because it is.
It's the truth.
It is. And some of us will never be able to unlearn and relearn, right? Like, we're just fucking stuck, right? Like, some of them are just stuck in the way they think. The only way that we can rise above this is to educate our kids into not being us. Right. You know, I think that's the only way that it will really change. It's like, with each generation, just teach these kids to love each other. That's, I mean, with each generation, just teach your kids to love each other, no matter what they look like, no matter who they are, what size, shape, color, you know, pronouns, all the shit, everything. Just let them be who the fuck they are, man. You know, if they walk out and say they're Native with blue eyes and brown hair and white skin, fuck, that's on their spirit to deal with. Right. You know what I mean? They're not searching for your validation, you know. And if you are searching for validation, don't do that. Yeah. Don't look for somebody to validate you. Or any of that. Just be yourself and be happy with your smiles. And that's what the youth need to understand, that we all have problems. we all are going to go through shit. And, you know, that is because you're a warrior, right? Like, the Creator puts the strongest, heaviest weights on his strongest warriors, man. And if you're going through a lot of shit, that must mean you're very fucking strong, because he wouldn't put that much on you if you couldn't pick it up and walk on with it. I feel it heavy all the time, man. And, you know, that's all I got to keep telling myself. Most of the time, I'm just talking to myself. You know, I'm just trying to motivate myself to do the right shit.
Because if you can't, then you can't expect other people to.
That's what I always started off with. Every time I used to do posts, it was always talking to myself. You know, you need to do this and do that. And people think I'm like talking to them. And I'm like, I don't mean it that way. I'm like really just trying to motivate my damn self to, like, you can do this. Get up out of bed. Tell your lazy self to do something with your life and have a great day. Smile more. Don't let people get on your nerves. All this, you know. And I say these things, these motivational things, is because, like, I'm trying to tell myself that too. Right. You know, and like, and I need to listen, you know, to myself sometimes.
Take your own advice.
Yeah, because I do let shit get to me. You know, I do let some things consume me. And, you know, I try not to. But it is what it is. And that's the problem. We got to get the youth to understand it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to not, like, you know, be fitting in. Like, fuck fitting in anyway. Right. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, if you got to, like, look to fit in, like,
that's not fitting in.
That's not fitting in. Just be you. And then find the people that love you for being you, you know? Don't sit around with a bunch of busters, man, like judging everybody and feeling down on themselves. And you know what I mean? Like, oh, man, world just shitting on me today. I think I'm just going to sit here and let it shit on me more. And, like, then you turn around and you got 4 or 5 of them guys standing around doing the same thing. Right. You're going to be the 5th, 6th, and you're going to be saying the same shit they're saying every day. You're just going to find yourself stuck in that rut. And, like, that's not a good deal. So I tell the youth, you can do whatever you want. You can be whoever you want. You just have to work for that shit. And nothing is even halfway. Like, I know a lot of you youth out there have been told you got to meet it halfway. No, that's a lie. You have to meet it 99.99999% of the fucking way. Because everybody else is going harder than you. And if you're going harder than the next person, then you're going to get what you want. That other person might get what they want too, but you're going to get it first because you're going harder. You know what I'm saying? And you can't ever give up, because you're going to go through all kind of bullshit. And, you know, there's going to be doubters out there, man. There's going to be people telling you you can't do this. They don't understand your dreams. Well, of course you don't understand my dreams. And don't even tell them your dreams. I mean, unless they're like-minded people, man. Like, unless they're ready to help you get to that dream, like, don't even tell them, because they don't understand you. A lot of people are not going to understand your dream like you understand your fucking dream, man. So that's what it is, man. Just live your own self and be happy with you, and don't let anybody dictate your smiles. Them are your smiles. You keep them.
Man of family, love, lifestyle, health, and artistry. Sten Joddi, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us here at Banner News. Thank you for, you know, all the advice. The event was super cool. You know, just getting, like I said, I feel like I've learned so much more in this, you know, few hours listening to you talk and talking back and forth. And
that's what's up, man.
It's definitely a really cool experience for me as well.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. Mado, Stone Go, Sten Joddi. I'm out, man.